Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dream Oracle for You. I am your host, Sarah, and as always, I have my wonderful co host, Biliana, on the call. And of course, it's not just me and Biliana here in the clouds. We also have a wonderful guest here today that I'm very, very excited to talk to about all things astrology and dreams. And as always, I'm just going to ask Biliana to welcome us to today's episode.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited for this one because obviously Sabine and I are friends and we finally met in person recently, so that was exciting, not just all online. And yeah, and she's been teaching me a little bit about astrology. Like it's taken me, I don't know, when I first got introduced to astrology was probably start of COVID. And I think because I've heard different opinions and that I was resistant to like don't jump into it. And then, Sabine's kind of like helped me dive in, have a go, see what you learn. It's not the end of the world to, just try something, learn something about yourself. And so that's what I found like it's really helped me understand myself more. So yeah, whatever you do, if you want to dive into your dreams or whatever, um, yeah, I think this will help with understanding yourself a lot more. So if you want to introduce yourself, Sabine, and yeah, we'll kick things off.
Okay, beautiful. Thanks so much, ladies. Thank you, Sarah and Billy. And yeah, very excited to be here talking about dreams with you and dreams from an astrological, starry perspective and where we're at, yeah, at this point in time and leading up to where we're at and yeah, what this, yeah, dreaming ourselves into existence really. And as you said, Billy, and I really love that astrology for me is, as you said, like this tool for greater self-understanding, to really to see our potentiality, our strength, and of course also our challenges, and to really tap into that and be yeah, a lot more compassionate with ourselves and with each other, and also to really feel empowered in our uniqueness. And also, while we're so unique as individuals, of course, we're all working together like this starry mycelial network here on planet Earth. And yeah, so my background, I'm originally from Austria and I moved to Australia about, yeah, almost 20 years ago at when I was 29. And yeah, I've always felt a strong urge to look at the stars, to connect within myself. Yeah, I've always had that sense of that my own psychological urges and observing others and around me to where is it all coming from and where is this deep imprint? It's got to come from somewhere and the relationships that we form and how we interact in daily life. And so, yeah, I started reading. I've always read sun signs in magazines, and which, yeah, can be a little bit airy-fairy. But then I was introduced to astrology, yeah, also about 15 years ago that I had my first reading myself and that changed everything because also I was at a time where I was really looking for answers, looking for, yeah, why are certain things happening in my life continuously? Why do I attract this or that? And so anyway, it really helped me again to understand myself better and also I felt really, yeah, empowered to see my strengths, to see the challenges and that sort of that thread that weaves throughout our life's journey and also knowing that nothing is ever stagnant and energy is always flowing and there's yeah anyway so that took me onto the path. I was already in Australia and living on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, and then that's when I started doing some serious astrology business and studying with a local group first, and then I found my beautiful mentor, Brian Clark. He's also yeah, a mentor at the faculty in England, one of the main teachers there. And so I started doing my training with Brian Clark, which was very archetypal, mythology based, and I love that. And to weave that into this earthly dreaming that we are embodying. And yeah, and yeah, super excited to be here today and talk about dreams and yeah, so thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, that's all right.
Yeah.
Well, I
Mm.
suppose we'll kick off like you mentioned that you wanted to talk about the transit nodes of the mode of the
Yeah, yeah.
moon
Mhm.
in the sign of Pisces. So,
Yeah,
and you mentioned that Pisces is relating to dreams. So, do you want
yes.
to touch on that, and then we'll go from there?
Yeah, sounds great. It's so timely to be here now because I've been feeling excited about this for some time when looking at the nodes of the moon, which so the nodes of the moon, just briefly, it's where the moon the moon's path intersects with the sun's apparent path as the moon orbits around the earth. And so it creates 2 points. So the nodes of the moon, there is the north node, which is has an ascending quality, and the south node descending. And those nodes of the moon have always been very significant to the ancients. And whenever that intersection happens, twice a year when we have um, full moons and new moons that are a thousandfold the strength of when we have yeah, eclipses. We have twice a year, we have eclipse times when there is this path of the moon is crossing the path of the sun. And these times are always very profound and have been for the ancients, bringing in greater awareness. We're really collectively guided. There is a certain fatedness to it. While we are always in choice and self-responsible, there is a certain thread that weaves through that directs us and guides us. And it's also exciting that we just had eclipse time. So we're still like under the spell of the eclipses. And particularly because we've been having the North Node. The North Node is always the path that leads us forward. It's future oriented. And also the nodes of the moon, they take us out of the comfort zone. It's not like a very easy path because it brings something greater up to our awareness. And often, yeah, we can feel that discomfort and it's not, yeah. So it's not always easy to follow that, but that's the challenge of the nodes because they are those divine guides that work deeply within collectively as well as individually. And then when we look at an individual chart, of course, I can look at, okay, where does this person have their north node? What's their journey? What's their greatest potential? Because the north node always shows us the greatest potentiality. And so on a collective level, as well as an individual level, so the nodes of the moon, they have about a 19-year cycle, which means we have 12 signs in the zodiacal wheel, and the nodes change every, let's say, roughly about 1.5 years. So on the 12th of January 2025, the North Node moved into Pisces. This Pisces is the sign of dreams, of the imagination, of sacredness, of the unconscious urges. Also, it's a sign of endings. We're really walking a threshold. And I feel like also when we look back all into 2025, all of 2025, up until the end of July 26. So we still have about, what do we have left? About 3 months, bit over 3 months of Pisces before the North Node moves into the next sign of Aquarius. But so so for about those 1.5 years, all of last year and up until the end of July this year, Pisces is that leading energy that's really asking us to and talking about Pisces, we also always have to look at the opposite sign. The opposite sign of Pisces is Virgo, because we always having that polarity. And I feel that's also so significant because we always want to create that balancing point. It's not always one or the other or against the other. It's okay, how can I create balance and harmony within those energies? And so what we are invited to is to use the Virgoan energy of discernment, discerning what is important for me now. How can I be using this earth energy to embody more while opening up to the bigger dream of Pisces, to the imagination, to allowing the sacredness into the mundane. So we have some really rich, juicy energies here. And I feel like when we look back to the year 2025, we can maybe, yeah, feel that, whoa, it was a year of big endings, maybe. It was a year where we've been really walking the threshold, feeling that there is a lot of newness that is coming, and that we are just before that a big initiation of a new dream of. I feel like the new dream is our greatest potential. That's always here for us, always at reach. And yeah, so I'm really excited about these energies, and also collectively as we are tapping more and more into the Aquarian energy, which is the energy that is creating win-win situations, being more humanitarian, creating communities. And this dream of Pisces, the sacredness of Pisces, is the leading agent that is also saying, because with Pisces being the last sign in the zodiacal wheel, it's also about endings. It's about, okay, can I let go of victim mentality? Can I let go of blaming, always looking outside of myself? And can I own, looking at Virgo, can I own, because Virgo is the last sign below the horizon, and Pisces is the last sign above the horizon. So we really have this great opportunity until the end of July, still this year, to find that midpoint where we can feel more embodied and also know that we are so much greater than this physical experience. And yeah, I feel super excited about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Thank you for explaining that.
Mm.
And yeah,
Mm.
like I can relate to like last year and this year. Like obviously last year being a 9 year
Mm.
and this year being a 1 year. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of stuff coming up last year collectively. And now like this year, there's so much like AI, fake news, like all this sort of stuff coming out, and it's calling us to be discerning of all this information and everything that's coming out. So I love that you've mentioned that because we're, yeah, we've got to focus now on our own dreams, and so it's really calling us to go within and not always looking on the external world to discern all that sort of stuff that can be distracting, but it's again a balance of both worlds, the inner and the outer.
Mm. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. And yeah, as you said, that discernment and everything, I feel like also with astrology, everything is always here to conspire with us. It may, of course, it may not always be easy because especially the nodes of the moon, they present a challenging point because there is always the opposite point that we want to fall back into that safety net or where we feel a seeming comfort in what we know, but it may not be where the path is leading us. Sometimes, often away from the comfort zone, away from, and as you said, I really love that because everything is guiding us towards greater self-empowerment. And and so, yeah, I really love this astrology. And as you said, last year we had a year number 9. This year is a strong number 1 year of beginnings. And I really feel we can already feel that as we are tapping into, yeah, the imagination, the sacredness, the presence, the surrender to each moment. And at the same time, we're also really holding the vision strong. We this year we have a much stronger Aries energy, and also with Pisces, like for the last 2.5 years, we had Saturn moving through Pisces, and that's been a really big deal of preparing us for what's to come. It feels like there is this. I really feel, as you say, number 1 year. And before that, we had the year of the snake shedding a lot of skin. And now it's really, can we be, yeah, can we be committed and determined and somewhat big and bold to embody that vision, to yeah, to really, and it's such a threshold time because Pisces is the last time, the last sign in the zodiacal wheel. Aries is the first sign. So I feel we're still moving through what's no longer serving us. What am I willing to shift, to look at? Because Pisces is the sign of the unconscious, the subconscious, and often, of course, we have our own blind spots. And it's not until we are engaging with others around us where we are really often projecting, mirroring one another. So this is also such a great opportunity of being honest with ourselves, and I feel like also as yeah, we are really we're really doing the work, I feel, to yeah, to become more of who we wish to, who how we want to show up in the world, um and also the current astrology is really supporting that. So with the North Node in Pisces until the end of July, yeah, really calling us, as you said, the word discernment is really important towards the yeah, what's important to me now, and also things, even the concept of time. I feel everything is shifting in and urging us to be even more present, to be more aware of each moment. And also with the current astrology, we don't just have the North Node, which is the guiding light in Pisces, but we also have Vesta. She is the goddess of the hearth, of sacred objects. She is in the sign of Pisces, and she's there till mid-May, also where it really creates a very sacred container for us. That's always there for us. And I feel, especially now that we are in Aries season and all the planets are direct at the moment, up until second week of May, we can really feel that things are speeding up. But we also have that the comfort. I feel Pisces is really giving us that sacred container to come back to take time out, to reset, to retreat, allow ourselves to get plenty of sleep, to feel nourished. And because Pisces is that reminder of it's that womb of the water to come back to in yeah, in everyday life and making it part of this experience. Yeah.
Cool. Fantastic. Do you
Mm.
have a
Mm.
question, Sarah? I have a question, but
You
if you
go,
want something
you go.
to say first. Okay, cool.
I'm like a newbie with astrology, so I'm really just soaking it
Yeah.
all up right now.
Yeah,
It
that
yeah.
that's
Mm.
yeah, me too. So I was just going to ask, like, for people that don't know astrology at all,
Yeah.
and obviously we talk about dreams. Like,
Yeah.
how can you? It doesn't have to be just Pisces, but like,
Mm.
how can you, I suppose, use astrology or just like with the understanding of Pisces, like relate it to dreams, like pe people's personal dreams and how they're
Yeah.
influencing at the moment and just any time of their life, like in tough times.
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's an open question, but yeah.
Mm. No, that's a really good question because yeah, it's not just about Pisces, obviously. And a lot of people don't even have any points, any planets in the sign of Pisces. And that's not what it's all about. And you're very, very spot on here too. How can we bring in, I feel we are all here because my personal belief is that we are, so let's say we are souls with a body. We are not a body with a soul, or I feel we are these beings here. Yes, we are embodied, but we are as above, so below. There is no, I feel, or even like when you think about the word planet and plant, it's very similar. And I feel one nurtures the other. And also, for example, Rudolf Steiner talks about that our brain has an imprint of the planetary realm. So at the time we were born, there is a certain imprint within us and without us. And I feel that in itself, that inner compass that we have, that barometer, that where we just know, and most of us, we are attuned. We are not just a physical form. And I feel that human urge to bring in a certain sacredness into everyday life. That is the dream in itself. And we all have that. And of course, some people have it more, some have it less. Um, some people feel more connected. Yeah, that they think it's more the physical experience here on planet Earth. Some have a greater awareness. There is a lot more to it, but it doesn't really matter. I feel um, for example, when we go out into nature, when we interact with, yeah, with nature herself, with the animals, with the day and night, and again, Rudolf Steiner talks about that shift between day and night. We all go to bed at night, or and sleep at night, and then we wake up and we bring into the morning, we bringing back the energy of the experiences we had throughout the night. So we are all doing it, and whether we are aware or not. But I feel the reminder here is that it's always time to bring in the sacredness into this physical experience. And we can all do that in various ways. We don't have to sit here and meditate for hours. Some people love doing that, but it can be, I think it's to do with consciousness, a conscious way of living. And if I it's the small things. I feel like the things we do on a small scale also determine how we do the things on a bigger scale. If I'm present while I'm cooking, preparing a meal, that in itself is a sacred act of being, a way of. I think, yeah, the dream has to do also with a certain honoring of life itself. And I feel most of us, we feel that inside. And but then particularly as the north node of the moon has been going through Pisces since early January last year, I feel a lot of us have probably been feeling even more of an urge to, or that sense of, oh, there's actually more to this physical experience. And um so yeah, and it's always there for us. And there is no, it's not a spirituality, it's not a religious thing. It's it's an, I feel like giving life more soul, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. What
Mm.
about like the when the moon is in different phases? Do you recognize like when people have certain dreams, like the moon being
Mm.
influencing dreams, or even just um
Yes.
eclipse time? Is there like,
Yeah.
regardless of like what sign it's in at the time, but like just
Mm.
those times of the year, you find that like
Yes.
dreams are influenced in certain ways?
Yeah, thanks. Great question. Yeah, absolutely. I feel, yeah, our dream states are very much influenced, and particularly because yeah, we've been having such strong Pisces, and yeah, I have to go back to Pisces. And
Yeah.
also we just had eclipse time as well, plus Mercury retrograding in Pisces over a prolonged time. So I would predict that with a strong Pisces stellium of planets, that dreams are much more profound, that we are also able to tap into something greater, much a bit easier at those times. And as you say, during eclipse times, it's also a really good way to, um, yeah, to be more aware of our dreams. To some people journal, write dreams down, and so that's also a great way. And it's not for me. I don't think it's so much about interpreting dreams. And I love that you say that because the ancients, they always knew that dreams are just so profound. And for example, in ancient times, they had dream chambers or where people came, they called them temenos, or Asclepian chambers or retreats where people came when they wanted to ask the gods and goddesses questions and getting answers for, especially when we're at a crossroads and when there is things are up and we want to know more and searching. And so in those dreams chambers, temenos, where people came, usually they fasted for certain periods, which also helped them to tap more into the astral realms. And then I also find a really good way is to, before we go to bed, to ask a question, to ask, doesn't have to be anyone in specific, the gods, goddesses, or just to put it out there, which also takes it away, because sometimes we can go to bed and worry about things, whatever, but often throughout the dream time, answers come to us and we might wake up and have certain, we just know what we want to do. And um, but certainly also, for example, yeah, the moon plays such a big role here. And for example, tomorrow we got a big full moon. The full moon is in the sign of Libra. It's the relationship axis. But also I find, yeah, during, yeah, of course, when the moon moves through the sign of Pisces, that's always a strong time every month for those about 2.5 days where dreams are more emphasized. But also during full moons, I mean, often a lot of people don't sleep all that well during full moons. So that's can, yeah, me too. Yeah, it's so our sleep can be a bit disruptive, and so that also means that our dream world can be a bit shaken around the full moon. That's also often makes people feel a bit more edgy, and that's where the word lunatic comes from, and we're a bit hypersensitive, particularly so every time each month when the moon moves through a water sign, we are more sensitive, more intuitive, and the dream states can be a lot more deeper and more profound. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting
Mm.
because I started uh like in my dream journal, like the phase of the moon. I do it sporadically, but
Hmm.
I never knew what to do with that. So now I can like, even look at the date that I wrote in my journal and then go back and see what the moon
Yeah,
what sign it was in at the time and what
that's right.
element it was as well. So,
Mm.
the four
Yeah.
elements have a big influence.
Yeah, beautiful. And anyone can do that if we just follow the moon, what sign it is in, and we can yeah, we can sense when the moon, when she's in her own sign of Cancer, we might feel a lot more sensitive, or we need more nurturing, we need more, yeah, inner nourishment and connection. And yeah, so yeah, great way to track things and write them down and how we feel, and then also over the month then see, okay, what came up for me last month, and mm, yeah, beautiful.
Do you have any dreams that you want to share?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, it's yeah, dream life is
And if
it's
you've
so
analyzed it a little bit, like in terms of astrology, or
yeah,
yeah, any dream, we like to hear other people's
yeah,
dreams.
yeah. I'm sure you do. Hey, they're totally private. Not joking. No, it's interesting. I often find that, and of course, we go into the night dream with also we bring with us everything that happened throughout the day. Through it's also a time where the body slows down, everything is rejuvenating within the body, and we are processing experiences. Um, as that's why I love setting intentions. I don't always do it. I forget about it, but I do like to ask something before I go to bed or also give thanks to things. But I do often find myself that my dreams are very related to something that I'm currently processing. And I can also often know, or let's say, for example, I just moved houses and it's been stressful and I've been a bit run down and some worries that have been up. And it's interesting then 2 nights ago, I had this kind of worst case scenario and um coming up in a dream or let's say about a particular person in my life and something that yeah, something I've been worried about. And then in my dream, that's what they did. And so I really know it's almost like I woke up and thought, wow, this is ridiculous. I just sort of moved through, which at the same time, I also felt gratitude that that topic that I've been working through has come up in my dream, showing me that kind of sort of that worst case scenario that I was fearful around or whatever. And yeah, so it's interesting how the psyche comes in and any kind of fears, doubts, and yeah. Um, I'm also often when I dream something and I remember that I try not to analyze it too much or not particularly not when I'm already in my thinking mind. I try to be with it and sit with it straight after I wake up where I'm not so or before I switch my phone on or before I engage with the world. And more like observing it, more being the observer rather than the interpreter. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah,
cool. Like Sarah and I talk about that as well. So
yeah,
if you want
yeah. Ha
to say something, Sarah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
like just about like kind
Mm,
of like
mm.
your how you approach dreams. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, like we talk
everything's,
about setting intentions and everything a lot as well.
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Intention setting has like, that's something that we discovered a long time ago is super important because we actually, I mean, I've probably talked about this a lot on the on the show, but we had an experiment episode way back now, Billiana. What was that? Over a year ago now?
Yeah,
And we basically did setting intention before going to bed and not setting intention. And our dreams were way more random and not making any sense without having an intention set before going to bed. And this week, I actually, it's funny. I find I always have a good dream right before we record an episode. It's like it's meant to to come out.
That's great.
Um, so I like that you're talking about just sitting with it and not spending too much time to interpret it. Is there a reason for that that you feel that like its presentation within the dream is like you're like kind of processing it more on the subconscious level kind of thing? Is that kind of where you're going with just observing it?
Yeah, that's right. More processing in the subconscious, um, and not to. starting to overthink things. Oh, I dreamt about this scenario and what it could mean, but it's more that also allowing the imagination and the symbols to reveal themselves. And I often find that maybe also then throughout the day, it's almost like a certain dream scenario comes back to me, and there is some kind of a subtle or some image that is sometimes revealing itself and throughout the day. Um, because I feel like when I give it space, then the symbols can speak louder. And
Yeah,
rather than if I was to sit there or even like, oh, I'm gonna Google, I dreamt about a wolf. What does this animal mean? Or I rather not look anything up and just feel, okay, wow, this is also, for example, where I just moved to recently, there is a lot of owls around. I haven't seen an actual owl in so long. And now it's like I drive down the street at sunset, and there's like one, two, three owls that pop up, or one is actually living right on a tree out there. And it's also then I felt so much gratitude, and I thought, whoa, um owl is also that the night eagle, and it really felt like a protector of my dreams, and almost like another symbol to say, okay, just remain with the imagination and allow the day eagle and the night eagle to figure it out rather than me in my human overthinking. Um, yeah,
yeah, it's good. Yeah, it'd
yeah.
be the same as astrology. Like you can go into
Mm,
super in depth with, with your own chart or like
yes.
future past events and that sort of thing. You can really go into depth and understand it. Like dreams, you could interpret your dream down to the
Mm,
last, symbol.
yes.
But is that you're in your logical brain and you're not like sinking into your heart and using your subconscious to reveal, like you say, things reveal themselves naturally because your brain can only get you
Mm,
so far. Your logical mind can only get you so far with trying to understand
yeah.
things. And
Yes.
like you're observing, and same with astrology, um,
Mm,
yeah, you can understand it all, but you still got to allow things to just play out and show themselves. So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like that's what I think
Mhm.
when I go back and read my journals, because I don't put much thought and I don't interpret my entries. And I go back and read them, and I'm like, wow, that doesn't sound like me at all. It was because I allowed things to just flow
Mm,
and write it down, and it can be so profound. So, when you go back and read something, and generally you look at your journals and past notes when it's relevant at that time. That's what I found as well. So you
mm.
don't need to interpret anything. It's so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love that. And I feel that's what astrology has been teaching me a lot too. Especially I have Germanic background. I can be very, yeah, have to do this and that and be very precise and and you're so conditioned being in my head and finding solutions or whatever. And so astrology has been such a great teacher to allowing the symbols to speak, particularly then working with someone. Like I could never, even I look at a chart and I would not want to write write down the story for that person or what I think this is what it means. And because it really, the symbols only reveal themselves when we are in that space of, yeah, allowing, surrendering, being. And yeah, and there's really stepping away from the logical mind. And which is also really interesting, also astrologically right now, you probably you'll be aware that we just had a Mercury retrograde in the sign of Pisces. So we had this Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year for 3 weeks. And that was from the 27th of February up until, actually, we're still in it, actually, with the Mercury retrograde shadow until the 9th of April. So we've just been in this big, almost like this dream state, or where also sometimes things have been really slow, or maybe our mind would want to, I want to find the solution, or almost like an impatient mind with the invitation to, yeah, just be very present. And yeah, so it's been also astrologically, I feel really supported that we are not so much in the mind, but trusting, surrendering to, yeah. Yeah, so I love what you say, to not interpret things. And when you look back into your journal, then yeah, it really comes from a place of, and I feel like a lot of people that, or when we write, a lot of people that have been writing books, or I don't know, just Rudolf Steiner comes a lot to mind, or Victor Schauberger, and these people, I feel like we all have that ability to channel. It comes, for example, like what we are passionate about, our passion in life, what we are drawn to do in this world, and like for you guys to have yeah, create a podcast about dreams, and there's this calling. I feel that there's a divine calling for our excitement, and I feel that's already that channeling that we are, that's coming through us, and it's that physical experience then that guides it physically in this world. But um yeah,
Yeah.
it's mm.
Yeah, cool. I really so I love everything you say, and yeah, it's good to hear it from a different perspective, not from a logical brain, but from,
Mm.
you're looking at the energy behind astrology.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it's really good to hear it in that sense. Did you have any questions,
Mm.
Sarah? Or Sabine, is there anything you want to
Mm.
talk about, whatever it is?
Yeah.
Like dreams, astrology, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you've been doing this podcast, but what is it, the 49th series today, is it? Or what do we?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
49
It's
episode. Yep.
49th episode. So that's yeah, wow. You've been really getting into it, and yeah, I just feel with dreams, there's so many people that have been working with dreams, and like Carl Jung, and there's also, when I years ago I lived on the Sunshine Coast, I was also with a dream group for a while, and writing down dreams, and yeah, and I so how do you, when you, yeah, how do you work with your dreams? I mean, we just talked about that, but like for example, in
Yep.
the group that I was, there was an kind of interpretation to it, actually. Um, yeah. So do you interpret your dreams? How do you go for it? Or you write it down, you wake up when you have a dream, you remember it, and how do you keep working with your dreams? And
Yeah. It
Do you want to
depends.
go, Sarah?
Yeah,
You
I'll
go.
go. It depends on the dream itself because,
yeah.
there's a variety of dreams that you can have. You've already mentioned about when you're just kind of
Mm,
processing or going
mm,
over things that you've gone throughout the day. But then sometimes there's a dream that kind of stands out. And for me, like last night, I actually had
mm,
a dream that was interesting where I woke up and I was in an apartment building. So I don't know why I was living in an apartment building, but I was living in an apartment building. I woke up and the whole like building was just like tilting back and forth, back and forth. And there had been like some sort of storm or something. So I left the building, and shortly after I left the building, the tilting of the building completely inverted the entire building. And then we had to like wait, and I had the thought go through my head like, oh no, I'm gonna have to go and shop for all my clothes now because it's all in the building that I can't access or something like that. um And then we were eventually able to get back into the building just to get our things because the building had been like destroyed pretty much. And it was interesting because I had to take an elevator to get up there, and the floor that I was living on, where all my stuff was the 14th floor. So one of the things that we've talked a lot about with dreams is when energy can come through in terms of numerology. Um,
Mm,
so the 14, 1, and 4, and the 5, if you add them together. Um, so all of those energies were coming through the dream. There was also, in order to get up to the elevator, there was like a code you had to punch in. And I can't remember all the numbers, but there was definitely like a 9, a 1, and a 6. So all of those energies were coming through the dream
mm,
as well. Um, I haven't done a deep dive interpretation, but
mhm,
one of the things I'm going to speak for Biliana here. One of the things that Biliana focuses on with her dreams is just kind of how you felt when you woke up from the dream.
mm,
And so for me, for that, I just was like, oh, that was an important dream. I wonder what that was about. And then the first thing that came to me was it's kind of like a shifting of like old life to new life, kind of like a changing in chapters of my life, I guess, coming to an end with like things turning upside down and the building kind of, collapsing or whatnot. Well, it didn't really like fall, but it inverted, I guess. And
mm.
with becoming a mother and everything, that's like a huge change in lifestyles. And sometimes it does feel like my life is turned upside down a little bit. So I felt that was coming through, but I haven't like I said, I'm gonna take the advice here. It's from today's episode and just kind of observe and sit with it and see what comes through.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Sarah said, yeah, I do focus on the feel, and that's just, and you'd know, Sabine, like from my chart,
Mm,
that I'm very much focused on how I feel, and that's how I suppose I don't even interpret my dreams that much, but
mhm,
since understanding the world around me and who I am, I feel like I don't really need to write them down as much anymore because I feel like memory's not stored in the brain. It's it's still it's energy. Like it will the
yeah,
thoughts and the memories will come to me when I need them. And so same with trying to interpret. Like I don't need to really, you know, get the nitty gritty of trying to understand it because yes, I can write it down, but and I'll write down a number, but I might not be influenced. Or I might not know about numerology. So kind of that will
mm,
might make sense. So until you kind of like understand a little bit more about yourself, and then these things will just pop in and you'll understand them a lot more. The most vivid and profound ones, I don't even I never forget. Like I can recall
mm,
memories from like 6 years ago, dreams, sorry. So, I think just observing is
yeah,
important. And also the ones that you don't, they're kind of fragmented. I find that they will come to me like random times a week later, and I'm like, oh, okay, I dreamt that last week, and it's kind of like taking that time to process. So I kind of
mm,
went on a bit of a tangent there, but that's
mm,
kind of like how I've been, I suppose, interpreting my dreams. Whereas I used to like write them every night, the time I woke up, the moon phase, how I felt. And that was really helpful to recognize myself. And then, you progress and understand yourself a lot more, that you don't need to be writing the things down as much. You just intuitively
mm,
understand why you had that dream, whether it's through astrology, numerology, or you just, you know, you know, um, understand yourself more than previously did. So
yeah.
that all makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you are focusing on the feeling. Yeah, and I feel that's such a beautiful indicator, isn't it? And again, with when we work with the Pisces energy as well, it's about intuition. There's a gentleness, a softness. It's a feminine approach, a feminine flow, and it's also, I feel that there's an enchantment. I always love that word, that we are, yeah, enchanted by dreams, by the connection with our feeling world and the intuition. And so yeah, thanks for sharing. And actually, one more question that came up for me, because I often feel dreams, yes, we of course we dream as individuals, but then I feel, do you find that there can be a collective dream as well, or a collective part? Especially, I feel, as we are going through such profound times and there's so much change, and we are transforming from within, we're seeing it outside of us and in a seeming chaotic world as well. So do you feel that our dreams are also tied into a greater dream? How do you see that?
I think so because like Sarah can talk on this because she had this dream about Trump, and I've seen and listened to other people that have dreamt about Trump. You dreamt about Trump a while ago, was it last year
Yeah,
sometime?
yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah.
several
So
times.
I
Mm,
feel like I feel like that's been a collective thing, and there's a lot of people now talking about there's two timelines of like two versions of Trump, and I think that's I don't haven't looked into all that, but I think that's possibly been a collective thing. But for myself, I haven't had dreams that I've heard other people talk about. But yeah, so that's
mm,
what I've noticed,
Well,
and yeah,
I mean, in essence, we're all just a spark of source experiencing itself, right? So, really, every experience that we have is contributing to this collective dream, if you want to put it that way. Because um, one of the things that Billiana and I talk about on this podcast is the fact that there isn't really any difference between your waking life and your dream life or your sleep life. So it's like an extension of yourself when you dream. And I firmly believe that, there's multiple versions of us across different timelines and different realities. And when you're dreaming, you're able to tap into those other realities, because we're all connected at a conscious level. So, I often have dreams where I'm hanging out with friends or I'm meeting loved ones, and we're either having fun or we're having some sort of conversation and whatnot. So, and that's like generating that particular experience, which I would consider to just be a collective dream.
mm.
yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
beautiful. Yeah, thank you
Well,
for
do you
sharing.
have any other
Mm,
questions, Sarah? But if not, Sabine, if you want to just share like how people can possibly find you, what you're doing at the
mhm.
moment, and
Yeah.
also, yeah, just you got a final message that you want to share with people about
Hmm.
the energies at the moment or what's coming up for the year, whatever you'd like to share.
Hmm. Yeah, so thanks thanks again for having me. And yeah, so how can people find me? Well, physically, I'm in the Northern Rivers in northern New South Wales in Australia, and I do one-on-one readings for people that are in my area or otherwise via Zoom. I have a brand new website.
Ooh.
Thank you, Billy, called astrology111.com. Yeah, and you can send me messages there and also make bookings for a personal reading with me. And also, I do weekly podcasts as well that I put on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. And yeah, so I'll share that with you if you're happy for me to share that with your viewers. And well, I feel, well, astrologically, as we said in the beginning, it's a year number one, and I feel the the dream. I feel it's the dream is just so important. The vision, the dream that we hold, if we can dream it, it's already there for us. It's already at reach, and it's really that determination to live the dream. Yeah, whatever we want to embody and bring forwards. And there's this year is like really, I feel a commitment to self, to be almost like unapologetic for who we are, and sharing our passion through love, and really going for it, moving forwards, and always, and allowing ourselves also, because we still have such a strong Pisces energy for this year as well, to know that it's important to get a good night's sleep. It's important to retreat and rejuvenate when we feel we need to, and take some time out. So it's always a beautiful reminder. And also, I would like to read out something about, it's from the Celestial Tarot. And because, so in the tarot, the Pisces rules the 18th card of the major arcana, which is the card of the womb, the moon, the womb of Pisces. And in my Celestial Tarot, it says, um, the moon suggests a time when we may be under its spell to imagine new ways of being. Perceptions shift, uncertainty, confusion, and ambiguity may be present as we're swimming in unknown waters. In the feminine precinct, our world concerns are not as pressing as the internal ones. Guidance comes through the intuition and the symbolic magical realm. And I really like that, as we can translate that into everyday life to, yeah, to, if we can, I think even Jung said that if we can live life through the lens of magic, that everything is magic in nature, in, yeah, and allowing that feminine quality into our everyday doingness. And I think that's also very much that surrender into, um a beingness on planet Earth, and trusting that.
Yeah, I love that.
Fantastic.
I love that quote, to live the lens through magic, then everything is magic, which
Mm,
comes back to something that I strongly believe is like your perceptions create your reality. So that really highlights that
yes.
if you want your reality to be magic, then you have to look at it through the lens of magic, which is just
Yeah,
beautiful.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
perfect.
No, thank you,
Mm.
Sabine. I don't have any questions to you, Biliana, or
No, but that was perfect. That quote, and yeah, that's Brian Clark's
Yeah, Brian
Celestial
Clark's
Tarot. Yeah,
Celestial
yeah,
Tarot. Yeah,
perfect.
there's such a beautiful poetry. I feel life, or astrology, is the poetic breath of nature itself. And
Yeah,
that's where I feel our dreams come through. And yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
perfect.
because dreams
Thank
can
you.
be
Thank you
kind
for
of
coming on.
poetic, can't they?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Symbolic, poetic. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Mm.
Wonderful.
fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Biliana.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Sabine. Thank you to our listeners. This podcast doesn't happen without you. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'm sure there's lots to learn from today's episode. I know I will definitely have to reflect on some of this as a newbie to astrology myself. But Sabine, sincere thank you for today's episode, because you have a lot of great knowledge to share with us, and I'm sure our listeners will appreciate that. I like that earlier you mentioned about having a conscious way of living. And so, everyone, I hope you take something away today and just keep on dreaming.